Welcome to Wonderful Story, where love, drama, and unforgettable moments come to life. Get ready to feel every emotion in stories you won't forget. So let's begin. Part 1: The Man Who Could Not Sleep. Justin Vale had not slept in 11 days. Not properly. His body still shut down occasionally from exhaustion, but every time his eyes closed, the same dream waited for him. A library. Endless. Dark. Crumbling. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into shadows. Dust floated through cold beams of silver light. Shelves leaned at dangerous angles, overflowing with books that whispered in languages he could almost understand. And somewhere deep inside the maze, something cried. Every night, Justin walked those endless halls while invisible hands dragged across the walls behind him. Every night he woke up choking. The doctors called it stress. The psychiatrists blamed childhood trauma. The sleep specialists prescribed stronger medication. None of them worked, which was why, at 3 in the morning, Justin found himself sitting in a hidden office above a flower shop in downtown Seoul, staring at a man wearing silver earrings and a velvet coat embroidered with tiny stars. The man smiled lazily. "You look terrible," he said. Justin narrowed his eyes. "I was told you're discreet." "I am discreet. Not polite." The stranger leaned back in his chair, balancing it dangerously on 2 legs. His name was Leo. At least that was the name he gave clients. Justin had expected someone older, professional, clinical. Instead, Leo looked like he belonged inside an art gallery. Long dark hair tied loosely at the nape of his neck. Sharp golden brown eyes. Rings on every finger. A smile too soft to trust. Justin hated him instantly. "You clean dreams?" Justin asked flatly. Leo tilted his head. "I tidy nightmares." "That sounds insane." "It usually does." Justin almost left, but exhaustion rooted him to the chair. Leo studied him carefully. "You're frightened," he murmured. Justin stiffened. "I don't get frightened. Everyone gets frightened." Leo's voice changed then. Gentler. More dangerous. "But you," he continued softly, "have been frightened for a very long time." Silence filled the room. Rain tapped softly against the office windows. Justin crossed one leg over the other, posture perfect despite the dark circles under his eyes. "I'm paying you to solve a problem," he said coldly. "Not analyze me." Leo grinned. "Cold, defensive, rich, beautiful. You're exactly my type." Justin blinked slowly. "Excuse me." Leo laughed under his breath. For some reason, the sound made the room feel warmer. "I'm joking," Leo said. The worst part was that Justin wasn't sure he believed him. Leo stood and walked toward a shelf lined with strange objects. Glass bottles filled with silver liquid, dream catchers made of black thread, tiny origami birds hanging from strings. None of it looked real. Justin already regretted coming. "You own Vale Group," Leo said casually. "Youngest CEO in the company's history. Obsessed with control. Works 18 hours a day. Doesn't trust anyone." Justin frowned. "Did my assistant tell you that?" "No." Leo turned. "Your dreams did." A strange chill slid down Justin's spine. "You haven't even entered my dreams yet." Leo's smile faded slightly. "Haven't I?" For the first time that night, Justin felt genuinely unsettled. He stood abruptly. This was a mistake. Before he could leave, Leo spoke quietly. "Your library is collapsing." Justin froze. The air in the room suddenly felt too thin. "You hear crying in the East Wing," Leo continued softly. "The floor beneath the history shelves is beginning to crack. And there's a locked door on the highest level that terrifies you more than anything else in the dream." Justin's face lost color. "How do you know that?" Leo's eyes softened. "Because your subconscious is screaming for help." Justin stared at him. No one knew about the locked door. No one. He had never mentioned it. Not to doctors. Not to therapists. Not even to himself. "You really can enter dreams," Justin whispered. Leo gave a small shrug. "Yes." The room fell silent again. Justin hated how desperately he wanted to believe him. "What happens if the library collapses?" he asked quietly. Leo didn't answer immediately. That, he finally said, depends on what's buried underneath it. Justin swallowed hard. Outside, thunder rolled across the city. Leo stepped closer. Not enough to touch. Just enough for Justin to notice how warm his eyes were. "Let me help you sleep," Leo said softly. Something about the way he said it made Justin's chest tighten unexpectedly. He looked away first. "What's the process?" Leo smiled faintly, sensing victory. "You sleep here tonight." Justin immediately frowned. "Absolutely not. You want the nightmares gone?" "Yes." "Then you sleep here." Justin glanced around the strange office. "You expect me to trust you?" "No," Leo said. "I expect you to be desperate." Justin hated how accurate that was. An hour later, he found himself lying on an old velvet couch in Leo's apartment upstairs. The room smelled faintly of lavender and rain. Soft music played somewhere in the distance. Leo sat cross-legged beside the couch, sleeves rolled to his elbows, drawing strange symbols on small pieces of paper. Justin watched him warily. "You always this dramatic?" he muttered. Leo looked up. "You always this pretty when you're exhausted?" Justin stared at him. Leo smirked. Justin turned his face away before Leo could notice the heat climbing into his cheeks. It had been years since someone flirted with him so casually. Most people feared him too much to try. "You flirt with all your clients?" Justin asked. "Only the attractive ones." "That seems unethical." "I'm a dream sweeper, Justin. Ethics were never part of the job description." Justin huffed out the faintest laugh before he could stop himself. Leo noticed. His expression softened instantly. "There you are," he murmured. Justin frowned. "What?" "That's the first genuine sound you've made all night." For some reason, the words hit harder than they should have. Justin looked at the ceiling. "You talk too much. And you feel too little." The silence afterward wasn't hostile. It was strangely intimate. Leo placed one final paper charm beneath the pillow. "All right," he said quietly. "Try to sleep." Justin's chest tightened. "What if I see it again?" "You will." "And if something happens?" Leo leaned closer. Close enough that Justin could see the gold flecks in his eyes. "I'll be there." Justin stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, his eyes closed. Darkness swallowed him whole. And suddenly, the library returned. Towering shelves stretched endlessly around him. Dust drifted through pale moonlight. Books whispered from every direction. But this time, he wasn't alone. Footsteps echoed behind him. Justin turned sharply. Leo stood at the end of the aisle wearing the same black velvet coat, hands tucked into his pockets like he belonged there. The dream itself seemed to shift around him. The lights flickered softly. The walls breathed. And for the first time in 11 nights, the library stopped feeling empty. Leo smiled gently. "Hello, Justin." Somewhere deep in the endless shelves, the crying suddenly stopped. Part 2: The Library of Broken Things. Justin stared at Leo in stunned silence. The library stretched endlessly around them, towering shelves disappearing into darkness above. Dust drifted through pale silver light, and somewhere in the distance, pages fluttered like restless wings. But none of that mattered, because Leo was here, inside the dream, inside his nightmare. "You're real," Justin whispered. Leo tilted his head slightly. "That's usually the preferred outcome." Justin ignored the joke. "You're actually here." Leo glanced around the crumbling shelves. "Though I'd appreciate slightly better interior design choices next time." The dream groaned around them. Somewhere high above, wood cracked loudly. Justin flinched automatically. Leo noticed. His teasing expression softened. "You've been here alone too long," he said quietly. Justin immediately straightened his posture. "I'm fine." "You're having panic attacks in your sleep." "I said I'm fine." Leo sighed dramatically. "You CEOs really treat emotional repression like an Olympic sport." Justin shot him a glare. Leo grinned. The strange warmth in Justin's chest returned. It irritated him immediately. "This way," Leo said, walking past him. Justin frowned. You know where you're going? No, Leo glanced back over his shoulder. But your dream does. Justin hesitated before following. The deeper they walked into the library, the stranger it became. Books floated gently through the air. Ladders moved on their own. Entire shelves rearranged themselves whenever Justin looked away. The architecture was impossible. Hallways folded into each other. Staircases twisted upside down. Some doors opened into oceans. Others revealed star-filled skies. Leo looked delighted by all of it. Justin looked exhausted. You built this beautifully? Leo murmured. Justin stared at him. Beautifully? It's sad, Leo corrected softly. But beautiful. No one had ever called Justin's mind beautiful before. Broken, maybe. Complicated. Difficult. Never beautiful. Leo brushed his fingertips across a bookshelf. Immediately, the books began whispering louder. Justin stiffened. Don't touch those. Why? They remember things. Leo glanced at him carefully. That's their job. Justin looked away. The farther they walked, the colder the library became. The lights overhead flickered weakly, and then Justin heard it again. Crying. Soft. Distant. Hidden somewhere beyond the shelves. Leo stopped immediately. There, he said quietly. Justin's stomach tightened. The crying always frightened him most. Not because it sounded monstrous, because it sounded human. Leo followed the sound toward a narrow corridor between towering shelves. Justin grabbed his wrist before he could continue. Don't. Leo blinked. Justin's hand was warm against his skin. For one strange second, neither of them moved. You're scared, Leo murmured. Justin slowly let go. There's something wrong down there. Then we should probably investigate it. You don't understand. Leo stepped closer. The dream lights flickered softly across his face. Justin, he said gently. Nightmares only grow teeth when ignored. Justin hated how easily Leo spoke to him. Like he could see straight through every wall Justin had spent years building. The crying grew louder. Leo finally moved forward again. This time, Justin followed. The corridor narrowed until the shelves became impossibly tall on both sides, towering like cliffs. Dust covered everything. And at the very end of the hallway, a child sat on the floor. Justin froze. The little boy couldn't have been older than 8. Dark hair, small shoulders, crying quietly into his knees. Leo crouched carefully a few feet away. Hey, he said softly. The child didn't look up. Justin's breathing became uneven, because he recognized him. The boy was him, or rather, who he used to be. You never mentioned him, Leo said gently. Justin's voice came out strained. I didn't know he was here, but deep down he had. He always avoided this part of the library. The child finally looked up. His eyes were red from crying, and behind him stood a massive locked door. Black, ancient, covered in chains. Justin's chest tightened violently. The door, the one thing in the dream he feared most. Even now, just looking at it made his heartbeat spiral. Leo noticed immediately. What's behind it? He asked quietly. I don't know. That's not true. Justin's jaw clenched. The child on the floor spoke suddenly. He never opens it. His voice was tiny, fragile. Leo looked between them carefully. You're protecting him, Leo realized. Justin looked away sharply. The child hugged his knees tighter. If he opens the door, the boy whispered, everything will break. The library trembled violently around them. Shelves cracked overhead. Books began falling endlessly from the ceiling. Leo stood immediately. Okay, he said calmly. That's new. Justin stared at the locked door in horror. Something was moving behind it. A low sound echoed through the chains. Not growling, breathing. Leo stepped protectively in front of both Justin and the child. Justin, he said quietly. Wake up. What? Now. The chains on the door rattled violently. The entire hallway shook. And suddenly, a hand slammed against the other side of the door. Justin stumbled backward. His breathing turned sharp and panicked. "Wake up!" Leo repeated firmly. Another slam. The chains strained harder. The child began crying again. Justin couldn't move. He felt frozen, like something inside the dream was pulling him toward the door, toward whatever waited behind it. And then, warm fingers grabbed his face gently. Justin blinked. Leo stood directly in front of him now, holding his cheeks carefully. "Look at me." Justin's shaking eyes met his. "Breathe," Leo said softly. The library shook violently again, but Leo's voice cut through the chaos effortlessly. "You're safe." Another slam hit the door. Justin flinched. Leo moved even closer. "So listen carefully," he murmured. "I need you to wake up." Justin stared at him, at the warmth in his eyes, at the way he touched him like something precious instead of something broken. And for one dangerous second, Justin wanted to stay, not in the nightmare, with Leo. The realization terrified him. The chains snapped loudly behind them. Leo's expression changed instantly. "Justin, wake up." Everything shattered. Justin jolted awake violently on the velvet couch, gasping for air. Rain hammered against the apartment windows. His shirt clung to his skin with sweat. And Leo was still beside him, one hand resting against Justin's cheek exactly where it had been in the dream. Their faces were painfully close. Justin's pulse stumbled. Neither of them moved. The room felt unbearably quiet. Then Leo smiled softly. "You came back." Justin swallowed hard. His voice came out rough. "What was that thing behind the door?" Leo's expression darkened slightly. "I don't know yet." Justin sat up slowly, still breathing unevenly. The dream felt too real. The child, the crying, Leo touching him. "You were there," Justin whispered. Leo leaned back against the couch. "I told you I would be." Justin looked at him carefully. For the first time in weeks, the crushing exhaustion inside him had eased slightly, just enough to notice something dangerous. He trusted Leo already, and that was far more frightening than the nightmare itself. Part 3: The Shape of Loneliness. Justin stayed at Leo's apartment until sunrise. Not because he wanted to. At least that was what he told himself. The truth was simpler. He was afraid to sleep alone again. Morning light spilled softly through the tall windows, turning the strange apartment gold. The place looked even stranger during the day. Plants hanging from the ceiling, stacks of books balanced in impossible towers, tiny glass stars dangling beside the curtains. Nothing matched. Everything somehow worked. It reminded Justin painfully of Leo himself. Leo wandered barefoot into the kitchen wearing an oversized gray sweater that slipped slightly off one shoulder. Justin immediately looked away, which was ridiculous. He was a grown man, powerful CEO, not some nervous teenager flustered by collarbones. "Coffee?" Leo asked casually. Justin rubbed tiredly at his eyes. "Please." Leo hummed softly while preparing it. The domesticity of the scene felt bizarrely intimate. Justin wasn't used to quiet mornings with another person. Most relationships in his life had been transactional, efficient, temporary. But Leo moved through the apartment like warmth itself. When he handed Justin the mug, their fingers brushed briefly. Justin's heartbeat betrayed him instantly. Leo noticed. Of course he noticed. A faint smile tugged at his lips. "You blush easily for someone so emotionally constipated." Justin nearly choked on his coffee. "I do not blush. You're blushing right now. I'm sleep-deprived." Leo leaned against the counter lazily. "And cute." Justin stared at him in disbelief. "No one talks to me like this." "That sounds tragic." Justin opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. Because somehow, Leo was right. People respected Justin, feared him, obeyed him, but very few ever spoke to him gently, or teasingly, or warmly. The realization sat strangely heavy in his chest. Leo studied him over the rim of his own coffee cup. "You really don't know how to relax, do you?" Justin exhaled slowly. "I built an international company before 30. Relaxing wasn't exactly part of the process." And was it worth it? Justin answered automatically. Yes. Leo tilted his head. But are you happy? The silence that followed said everything. Leo's expression softened. Justin hated that softness more than anything, because it made him want things. Care, comfort, affection. Things he'd spent years teaching himself not to need. Before either of them could speak again, Justin's phone buzzed sharply across the table. Work. Reality crashing back in. Justin glanced at the screen. 23 missed calls. 41 unread emails. 3 emergency meeting requests. Leo peeked over curiously. You know, he said, most people take at least one day off after confronting their subconscious trauma monster. Justin stood immediately. I need to go to the office. Of course you do. There's an acquisition meeting at noon. You almost got eaten by a nightmare 6 hours ago. I'm aware. Leo sighed dramatically. You're exhausting. Justin reached for his coat, then paused. What happens now? Leo's teasing expression faded slightly. The dream is unstable. Justin's stomach tightened. What does that mean? It means something inside you is trying very hard to stay buried. Leo's eyes darkened thoughtfully. And whatever's behind that door is getting stronger. Justin looked away. He could still hear the chains snapping. Still remember the way Leo held his face inside the dream. That memory lingered far more dangerously than it should have. When do we go back? Justin asked quietly. Leo blinked once, then smiled faintly. Tonight. The Vale Group headquarters towered over Seoul like a monument to control. Glass, steel, precision. Justin usually found comfort there. Today it felt hollow. Executives scrambled around him nervously as he walked through the lobby. Assistants trailed behind with schedules and reports. Everyone straightened the moment they saw him. The cold CEO had returned. Justin slipped back into the role effortlessly. Sharp voice, unreadable expression, perfect posture. But underneath it all, exhaustion lingered heavily in his bones. And worse, his mind kept drifting back to Leo, to warm golden eyes, to teasing smiles, to fingers brushing against his skin in the dark. Justin entered the conference room without greeting anyone. The board members immediately fell silent. A presentation began. Numbers flashed across screens. Someone discussed international expansion. Justin heard none of it, because for the first time in years, his thoughts were somewhere else entirely. Mr. Vale. Justin blinked. Every executive at the table stared at him nervously. One of them swallowed hard. Your decision on the merger? Justin realized he hadn't heard a single word. That never happened. Ever. He pressed fingers briefly against his temple. Proceed with Phase 2 negotiations, he answered automatically. The executives visibly relaxed. But Justin felt unsettled, distracted, unbalanced. His assistant hurried after him once the meeting ended. Sir, are you feeling all right? I'm fine. You look pale. Justin stopped walking. The assistant immediately looked terrified. Justin closed his eyes briefly. Right. People feared him. They always had. Cancel my evening meetings, Justin said quietly. The assistant blinked in shock. All of them. Yes. But sir, all of them. By the time Justin returned to his penthouse that evening, rain had begun falling again. The silence inside the apartment felt unbearable. Cold. Empty. He loosened his tie slowly and froze. A small folded paper star sat on his kitchen counter. Justin stared at it cautiously. He crossed the room and picked it up. Inside, written in elegant black ink, you forgot your watch. Also, you looked sad leaving this morning. Leo. Justin looked down. His watch was indeed missing. And beside the note sat another line added messily beneath it. Eat something before coming over tonight or I'll fight you. Justin stared at the note for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. Soft, quiet, real. No one was there to hear it. And somehow that made it feel even more intimate. That night, Justin returned to Leo's apartment carrying takeout neither of them pretended wasn't an excuse to spend more time together. Leo opened the door wearing loose black pajamas and fuzzy socks covered in stars. Justin stared. Leo smirked immediately. "Oh no," he said dramatically. "The terrifying CEO is being emotionally affected by my socks. They're ridiculous. You love them." "I absolutely do not." Leo grinned wider. Justin hated how quickly that smile disarmed him. They ate together on the floor beside the couch while soft jazz played quietly nearby. It should have felt awkward. Instead, it felt strangely natural. Dangerously natural. Leo stole dumplings off Justin's plate. Justin complained half-heartedly. Leo laughed openly. And every time he laughed, Justin felt something inside himself loosen slightly. Something old. Something painfully lonely. After dinner, silence settled comfortably between them. Leo lay back against the couch cushions. Justin watched him carefully. "You're different in dreams," Justin said quietly. Leo looked over. "How?" "You seem—" Justin searched for the word. "Older." Leo's expression became unreadable for a moment. "Dreams strip people down," he said softly. "You can't really hide there." Justin looked at him carefully. "What are you hiding, then?" For the first time since meeting him, Leo hesitated. Just briefly. Then he smiled again. "That's tomorrow's emotional crisis." Justin frowned slightly. Before he could push further, Leo sat up. "Ready." Justin's chest tightened. "For the dream. For the library. For the door. And maybe, for Leo." Justin nodded once. Leo moved closer beside him on the couch. Too close. Justin could feel his warmth. "You trust me yet?" Leo asked softly. Justin looked at him. The answer frightened him. "More than I should." Smile faded into something gentler. Something that made Justin's pulse ache strangely. "That's enough for now," Leo whispered. Then he touched Justin's forehead lightly. The world dissolved into darkness again. And the library waited for them both. Part 4: The Boy in the East Wing. The library welcomed them like a living thing. The moment Justin opened his eyes, cold air swept through endless shelves lined with towering books. Dust spiraled through silver-blue light overhead, and somewhere far in the distance, bells echoed softly like forgotten memories. But tonight, the library had changed. The walls were breathing. Not metaphorically, actually breathing. The shelves expanded and contracted slowly, as though the entire structure possessed lungs hidden deep within the architecture. Justin immediately stiffened. "It's worse," he said quietly. Leo stood beside him, dark coat swaying gently in the dreamlike wind. "Yes," he murmured. Unlike before, Leo wasn't smiling tonight. He looked alert, careful. The library seemed aware of him now. Books shifted subtly whenever he moved. Lights flickered when he spoke. Justin swallowed uneasily. "What happens if the dream collapses completely?" Leo glanced at him. "In most cases," he said lightly, "mental breakdown, memory fractures, dissociation." Justin stared. "You say that very casually. I meet a lot of damaged people. And me." Leo looked at him for a long moment. "You're not damaged," he said softly. Justin blinked slightly. "You're drowning." The words landed harder than they should have. Before Justin could respond, the sound of crying echoed again through the endless shelves. Both of them turned immediately. "The East Wing." Leo exhaled quietly. "Looks like your subconscious scheduled a reunion." Justin's stomach tightened. He didn't want to go back there. Didn't want to see the child version of himself again. Because the boy's eyes haunted him. That loneliness inside them felt too familiar. Still, Justin forced himself forward. Leo walked beside him silently this time. No teasing. No jokes. The deeper they traveled into the East Wing, the older the library became. The shelves here were rotting. Books lay scattered across cracked marble floors. Ink dripped from ceilings like black rain. And the crying grew louder. When they finally reached the narrow corridor again, the little boy sat exactly where they'd left him, curled up beside the chained door. Alone. Justin stopped walking. The child looked up slowly. His eyes immediately found Justin first. Not Leo. Justin's chest tightened painfully. The boy looked relieved to see him, like he'd been waiting. Leo crouched carefully nearby. "Hey!" he said softly. The child ignored him completely. Instead, he stared at Justin with trembling eyes. "You came back." Justin swallowed hard. "Yeah." The boy looked smaller tonight somehow. Frilier. There were bruises on his knees now. Tiny ink stains covered his fingers. Justin frowned. "What happened to you?" The child hugged himself tighter. "The library gets angry when you leave." A loud groan echoed through the walls as if proving his point. Leo's expression darkened subtly. He studied the chain door carefully. The chains looked thinner tonight. Something scratched slowly against the other side. Justin instinctively stepped backward. The child noticed immediately. "You're scared again," he whispered. Justin looked away sharply. Leo glanced between them quietly. Then he stood. "I'm going to check something nearby," he said casually. Justin frowned. "What?" Leo leaned closer briefly. "You need to talk to him alone." Before Justin could argue, Leo disappeared down another aisle, leaving Justin standing awkwardly before the child version of himself. Silence settled heavily. The little boy stared at the floor. Justin had negotiated billion-dollar contracts with less discomfort than this moment. Finally, he spoke. "What's your name?" The child looked confused. "You know my name." Justin's throat tightened. "Right." Of course he did. The child hesitated before quietly asking, "Do you still hate us?" Justin froze. The question hit like a knife. "What?" The little boy's eyes shimmered with tears. "You used to." Justin's breathing slowed painfully. Fragments stirred somewhere deep inside him. A dark apartment. Broken glass. His father shouting. A child hiding silently behind locked doors. Justin pressed a hand against his temple. The library lights flickered violently. The boy flinched instantly. "Don't remember too hard," he whispered fearfully. "It wakes him up." A low sound rumbled behind the chained door. Justin's pulse spiked. He stared at it. The door felt alive tonight. Breathing. Waiting. "What is that thing?" Justin whispered. The child looked terrified. "It's the part of us nobody loved." The hallway suddenly went silent. Even the library itself seemed to stop moving. Justin couldn't breathe for a second. Because deep down, he understood immediately. The door wasn't hiding a monster. It was hiding him. Everything abandoned. Everything unloved. Everything he'd buried to survive. The realization nearly knocked the air from his lungs. "You locked it away," the boy whispered softly. "But it keeps getting lonely." Justin stared at the chains. His chest hurt. Actually hurt. And then, warm fingers brushed gently against his shoulder. Leo had returned. His expression softened immediately when he saw Justin's face. "Oh," he murmured quietly. Justin looked away sharply. "I'm fine." "No, you're not." The gentleness in Leo's voice nearly shattered him more than the nightmare ever could. Justin hated that. Hated how easily Leo saw through him. The child suddenly stood and walked toward Justin slowly. Tiny fingers reached carefully for the sleeve of Justin's coat. "You don't visit anymore," he whispered. Justin looked down at him silently. "I got busy." "That's not true." The child's voice trembled. "You just stopped wanting us." Justin's composure cracked. "Stop saying that." The little boy looked frightened immediately. Justin closed his eyes hard. Damn it. Even here, even in his own subconscious, he still frightened people. Leo stepped closer beside him. "Justin." "I said I'm fine." "You're shaking." Justin realized he was. His hands trembled slightly at his sides. The library groaned around them. Books fell from distant shelves. The child stepped back fearfully. Leo looked at Justin carefully. Then, very gently, he took Justin's trembling hand. The contact stunned him silent. Warmth spread instantly through his fingers. Steady. Grounding. Justin stared at their joined hands. No one held his hand anymore. Not since... No. He pushed the thought away immediately. But Leo's thumb brushed softly across his knuckles. And suddenly the library calmed slightly. The walls stopped shaking. The child looked amazed. Leo noticed too. "Oh," he said softly. Justin looked up. "What?" Leo's golden brown eyes held something unreadable now. "Your dream responds to affection." Justin's breath caught. Neither of them moved. The air between them changed suddenly. Heavier, warmer, dangerous. The child looked between them quietly. Then, for the first time, he smiled. Small, fragile, hopeful. Justin's chest tightened painfully again. And before he could stop himself, he squeezed Leo's hand back. Leo went very still. The lights overhead flickered softly like stars awakening. The library itself seemed to sigh. And somewhere behind the chained door, the scratching finally stopped. Part 5: The Dream Sweeper's Secret. Justin couldn't stop thinking about Leo's hand, which was absurd. He was a grown man with an empire balanced on his shoulders, yet somehow the memory of warm fingers against his own haunted him more than financial collapse ever could. Even now, sitting through another executive meeting, his thoughts drifted helplessly back to the library, to the way the dream calmed when Leo touched him, to the tiny smile on the child's face, to the unbearable softness in Leo's eyes. "Mr. Vale." Justin blinked. The conference room stared at him again. His assistant looked concerned. Justin pressed 2 fingers against his temple. "Yes, the investors are waiting for your decision, right? Work, reality." Numbers on screens blurred slightly before him. For the first time in years, Justin felt disconnected from the world he'd built. Everything suddenly seemed empty, predictable, cold. His phone buzzed quietly beneath the table. A single message appeared. "Did you eat breakfast today, or are you still surviving purely on caffeine and emotional repression?" "Leo." Justin stared at the screen. Then, before he could stop himself, he smiled. Tiny, barely noticeable, but enough. The entire conference room went silent in shock. One executive nearly dropped his pen. Justin immediately erased the expression. "Proceed with the Hong Kong proposal," he said flatly. No one spoke for the rest of the meeting. That evening, Justin returned to Leo's apartment carrying dinner again. He told himself it was practical. Dream sessions lasted longer when he ate properly. It had nothing to do with wanting to see Leo. Absolutely nothing. Leo opened the door wearing loose cream-colored pants and a black tank top. Justin forgot how breathing worked for approximately 3 seconds. Leo noticed instantly. "Oh," he said, amused. "That reaction seems medically significant." Justin looked away immediately. "You're insufferable. And yet you keep coming back." Justin had no response to that. Leo stepped aside with a grin. "Come in, sweetheart." Justin nearly walked directly into the wall. Leo burst into laughter behind him. The sound echoed warmly through the apartment. Justin hated how much he liked hearing it. Dinner passed strangely easily now. They'd slipped into comfort without either of them noticing. Justin learned Leo hated mushrooms. Leo learned Justin secretly loved sweet desserts despite pretending otherwise. Leo sat cross-legged on the couch afterward, watching Justin loosen his tie. "You know," Leo said casually, "you're much softer than people think." Justin snorted quietly. "No one has ever described me as soft." "That's because nobody looks closely enough." The room fell silent again. Justin looked at him carefully. Leo said things like that too naturally, too honestly. It unsettled him. "Who are you?" Justin asked suddenly. Leo blinked once. "That's vague. You know everything about me." Justin leaned back slightly. "But you avoid talking about yourself." Leo's playful expression dimmed slightly. "There's less to tell." "I doubt that." Leo looked away toward the rain-covered windows. For the first time since they met, he seemed uncertain. Justin noticed immediately, and strangely, it made him nervous. "Leo," he said quietly. Leo smiled faintly without looking at him. "Do you know why dream sweepers exist?" Justin frowned slightly. "I assumed you were all deeply unstable magicians." Leo laughed softly. "Close." The humor faded quickly afterward. "We're created from dreams," he said quietly. Justin stared. "What?" Leo finally looked at him. His golden brown eyes seemed strangely sad tonight. Long ago, people believed dreams could shape reality, he explained softly. Strong emotions leave impressions behind. Sometimes those impressions become people. Justin frowned harder. That's impossible. Probably. But true. Leo's voice remained calm, but Justin suddenly noticed something strange. The apartment lights flickered slightly around him, like reality itself struggled to hold his shape together. Justin slowly sat forward. What are you saying? Leo looked down at his hands. I wasn't born the way you were. The room suddenly felt colder. You're not human? Justin whispered. Leo smiled weakly. I'm something close enough. Justin stared at him silently. Every logical part of his brain rejected the idea immediately. But another part, the deeper part touched by the library, already believed him. You exist outside dreams, Justin said carefully. For now. Justin's stomach tightened. What does that mean? Leo hesitated, then quietly answered. Dream sweepers fade eventually. Justin's heartbeat slowed painfully. Fade. We're tied to emotional spaces. Leo's smile softened sadly. Nightmares. Memories. Dreams people can't survive alone. Justin felt something cold settle in his chest. And when those dreams heal? Leo looked at him gently. We disappear. Silence crashed heavily between them. Justin suddenly understood something terrifying. Leo had entered his life because Justin needed him. And if Justin recovered, Leo would vanish. No, Justin said immediately. Leo blinked. Justin stood abruptly. That's ridiculous. It's reality. There has to be another way. Leo's expression softened painfully. You barely know me. Justin's voice sharpened instantly. I know enough. The words escaped before he could stop them. Both of them froze. Leo stared at him quietly. Justin's chest tightened. Damn it. Damn it. He looked away first, but Leo stood slowly and walked toward him. Closer. Closer. Until Justin could feel his warmth again. You're starting to care about me? Leo whispered. Justin swallowed hard. The honesty of it made retreat impossible. Leo lifted a hand carefully, slowly, giving Justin every chance to pull away. But Justin stayed still. Leo's fingers brushed softly against his cheek, and Justin closed his eyes instinctively, like he already trusted this touch. The realization terrified him. You shouldn't, Leo whispered sadly. Justin opened his eyes again. Why? Because people like me don't stay. Something inside Justin cracked quietly at those words. Maybe because he understood them too well. People had always left. His mother, his childhood, his ability to trust. Every soft thing eventually disappeared from his life. And now Leo stood before him saying he would too. Justin's voice came out rougher than intended. I don't want that. Leo's expression broke slightly. For one suspended moment, neither of them moved. Then Leo leaned closer. Justin's breath caught. Warmth lingered between them, close enough to kiss, close enough to ruin everything. And then, the apartment lights shattered. Glass exploded across the room. Justin jerked backward instinctively. The shadows around them twisted violently. Leo immediately shoved Justin behind him. The air turned ice cold, and suddenly, a deep cracking sound echoed through the apartment. Not from reality, from the dream world. Leo's face lost color instantly. The library, he whispered. Justin's pulse spiked. What's happening? Leo looked genuinely frightened for the first time. The door opened. Part 6. What waited behind the door. The dream swallowed them violently. 1 second Justin stood inside Leo's apartment surrounded by shattered glass. The next, he was falling. Darkness twisted endlessly around him. Shelves spun upside down. Torn pages stormed through the air like dying birds. Somewhere nearby, the library screamed. Not metaphorically, actually screamed. Justin hit the ground hard on cracked marble floors. Pain shot through his shoulder. Before he could recover, strong arms caught him immediately. Easy, Leo. Justin looked up sharply. Leo crouched beside him, one arm wrapped protectively around his waist. But something was wrong. His appearance flickered strangely, like static, like parts of him were dissolving. Justin's chest tightened. Leo, I'm fine. You're not. Another violent tremor ripped through the library. Entire shelves collapsed in the distance. The beautiful, endless architecture Justin once feared now looked catastrophic. Flooded hallways, broken staircases, books burning with black fire. And somewhere deep inside the ruins, something was awake. Justin slowly stood. The air itself felt wrong now. Heavy, breathing, watching. The chained door from the east wing was visible impossibly far away across the collapsing library. Wide open. Darkness poured from it like smoke. Justin's stomach dropped. What came out? Leo didn't answer immediately, which frightened Justin more than any response could have. Leo. Leo finally looked at him. The part of you that wanted to be loved. Justin stared at him silently. That's supposed to be the monster? No, Leo's expression darkened painfully. The monster is what happened after nobody did. The library groaned violently again. A sound echoed through the endless shelves. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Approaching. Justin felt fear crawl instantly beneath his skin. Not dream fear. Recognition. Like some ancient part of him already knew exactly what was coming. Leo moved slightly in front of him protectively. Stay close to me. Justin grabbed his wrist instinctively before he could move further away. Leo glanced down briefly. Justin hadn't realized how tightly he was holding him. I mean it, Justin said quietly. Something vulnerable flashed across Leo's face. Then he squeezed Justin's hand once. I know. The footsteps grew louder. The lights overhead flickered violently. And then, it appeared. Justin stopped breathing. At first glance, the creature looked human. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed entirely in black. But its face constantly shifted. Sometimes his father, sometimes himself, sometimes nothing at all. Ink dripped endlessly from its body, staining the marble beneath its feet. And its chest was completely hollow, an empty cavity where a heart should have been. Justin physically recoiled. The creature tilted its head slowly. When it spoke, dozens of voices layered together. You left us alone. Justin's pulse thundered painfully. Leo stepped forward carefully. You don't get to touch him anymore. The creature ignored Leo entirely. His hollow gaze remained fixed on Justin. He buried us. Justin couldn't move. Memories crashed suddenly through his mind. A child waiting by windows for parents who never came home. Cold dinners eaten alone. Birthdays forgotten. Praise earned only through perfection. Love given conditionally, or not at all. The creature took another step closer. And now, it whispered, he wants to be loved again. Justin's chest hurt so badly he almost doubled over. Because beneath the horror, there was truth. Leo looked back at him carefully. Justin's breathing became uneven. I can't. Yes, you can. The creature suddenly screamed. The sound shattered entire shelves around them. Black ink exploded across the floors. The library began collapsing faster. Leo cursed softly beneath his breath. It's feeding on your fear. Justin looked at him desperately. What do I do? Leo stepped closer again. You stop running. The creature lunged. Justin flinched instinctively, but Leo moved first. A burst of silver light exploded from his hands, slamming into the creature hard enough to crack the marble beneath it. Justin stared in shock. Leo's entire body glowed faintly now. Beautiful. Unreal. The creature staggered backward, shrieking violently. But Justin noticed something horrifying. Leo flickered again afterward. Weaker this time. Using his power was hurting him. Leo, Justin whispered. Leo kept his eyes locked on the creature. Don't panic. You're disappearing. That's later's problem. The creature rose again slowly. Its shifting face settled briefly into Justin's own reflection. You think he'll stay? It whispered mockingly. Nobody ever stays. Justin froze. The words cut too deeply. Because they were true. People always left. Always. The creature smiled cruelly with Justin's own mouth. He's already fading. Justin looked at Leo instantly. Leo stayed silent. And that silence told Justin everything. Fear crashed through him harder than before. Not fear of the creature. Fear of losing Leo. The realization struck with devastating clarity. He loved him. Somehow. Impossible. Too fast. Too deep. But real. Painfully real. The creature laughed softly. There it is. Justin's chest tightened violently. Leo looked at him then. Really looked at him. And whatever he saw on Justin's face made his own expression crumble. Justin! The creature attacked again. This time Justin didn't freeze. He grabbed Leo's hand sharply. Warmth surged instantly through the collapsing library. The lights stabilized. The trembling slowed. The creature staggered backward with a furious scream. Leo stared at Justin in shock. The dream reacts to your emotions, Justin realized breathlessly. Leo's golden eyes widened slightly. Yes, he whispered. Justin stepped closer to him, then closer still, until their foreheads nearly touched. The creature roared somewhere behind them. Neither of them looked away. Justin's voice came out shaking. I don't care what you are. Leo's breath caught softly. I don't care if you were born from dreams. Justin, I don't care if you disappear someday. The confession cracked out of him helplessly now. Raw, honest, terrified. Justin stopped breathing for a second, then finally whispered the truth. I don't want to lose you. Leo looked shattered by the words. The library glowed softly around them. Warm gold replacing cold silver. And suddenly Justin understood. The dream had never been trying to destroy him. It had been begging him to stop abandoning himself. Leo lifted trembling fingers to Justin's face. You impossible man, he whispered softly. Then he kissed him. The world stopped. Completely. Justin's mind emptied instantly the moment their lips met. Warm, gentle, achingly tender. Nothing in Justin's carefully controlled life had ever felt like this. Leo kissed him like something precious, like something worth saving. Justin grabbed the front of Leo's coat instinctively, pulling him closer. The library exploded with light around them. Books flew open. Stars burst across ceilings. The endless structure breathed alive again. And behind them, the creature stopped screaming. Justin pulled back slowly, breathless. The creature stood motionless now, this shifting face softer somehow. Sad, human. Then slowly, it dissolved into thousands of glowing pages that drifted upward into the restored library ceiling. Gone. Silence fell gently across the dream. Justin stared after it. It's over, he whispered. Leo looked at him carefully. No, he said softly. Justin frowned slightly, and then he noticed it. Leo's body was fading faster now, transparent around the edges, like smoke unraveling into air. Fear returned instantly. Leo, Part 7, The Things We Choose to Keep. Leo, Justin's voice broke slightly. The library around them had transformed completely. Gone were the collapsing shelves and endless shadows. Warm golden light now flowed through towering windows that hadn't existed before. The broken architecture repaired itself slowly, books sliding back into place as though guided by invisible hands. The dream was healing, which meant Leo was disappearing. No, Justin said immediately. Leo gave him a small, sad smile. That's usually the reaction. Justin grabbed his wrist hard enough to stop the fading entirely for one brief second. You said eventually, Justin said sharply. Not now. Leo looked down at Justin's hand around his wrist. Emotion flickered painfully across his face. Justin, you don't get to kiss me and then evaporate 5 minutes later. Despite everything, Leo laughed softly. The sound nearly shattered Justin's heart, because it already sounded distant, transparent, like an echo. Justin stepped closer desperately. There has to be a way to stop this. You healed the nightmare. Then I'll break it again. Leo's expression changed instantly. Don't say that. I mean it. Justin's breathing had become uneven now. Raw panic crept beneath his carefully controlled exterior. Leo cupped his face gently. "Listen to me." "No. Justin. No." The word came out broken this time. Childish. Afraid. Justin hated it. Hated how vulnerable Leo made him. But Leo only looked at him more softly. "You're finally learning how to love," Leo whispered. "Don't turn that into another wound." Justin's chest ached violently. "You're asking me to lose you." Leo's eyes shimmered sadly. "I'm asking you not to lose yourself with me." The library lights dimmed gently around them. Somewhere nearby, soft footsteps echoed. Both of them turned. The child from the east wing approached slowly. But he looked different now. Healthier. Brighter. No bruises on his knees. No fear in his eyes. He stopped in front of Justin quietly, then reached for his hand. Justin looked down at him. The child smiled softly. "You opened the door." Justin swallowed hard. "Yeah. It hurt. I know. But you stayed this time." Those words nearly destroyed him, because that had always been the problem. Justin survived by abandoning every painful part of himself before anyone else could. He buried loneliness, fear, need, love. Everything soft became weakness. Everything vulnerable got locked away. And Leo walked directly into the ruins of him and stayed anyway. The child looked toward Leo quietly. "Is he leaving?" The question landed heavily in the golden silence. Leo crouched carefully beside the boy. "Looks like it." The child frowned. "That's stupid." Justin almost laughed despite the crushing ache inside him. Leo smiled faintly. "Probably." The little boy looked genuinely upset. "But he makes you happy." Justin froze slightly. Leo went very still too. The child turned toward Justin again. "You smile more now." Justin didn't know what to say to that, because it was true. Leo stood again slowly, though parts of his body had become nearly translucent now. Justin could see the bookshelves through his sleeves. Panic clawed immediately through his chest again. "No," he whispered. Leo looked at him gently. "Justin, there has to be something." The library suddenly shifted softly around them. A single book slid free from a nearby shelf and landed at Justin's feet. All three of them looked down. The cover was blank except for one silver symbol. A star. Leo's expression changed instantly. "That's impossible." Justin picked it up carefully. The moment he touched it, the book opened on its own. Blank pages flipped rapidly before stopping at a single line written in black ink. "Dreams that are remembered cannot disappear." Silence. Leo stared at the page. Justin looked up sharply. "What does that mean?" Leo looked shaken. "It's an old law." "What kind of law?" "The kind even dream sweepers can't fully explain." Hope sparked painfully inside Justin's chest. "If I remember you, you stay?" "It's not that simple." "Then explain it." Leo hesitated. Dreams swirled softly around them now, gold dust drifting through endless light. Finally, Leo spoke quietly. "Dream sweepers survive through emotional imprinting. We exist because someone, somewhere, needs us deeply enough to hold us in reality." Justin stared at him. The answer settled slowly, dangerously. "You mean love?" Leo's expression cracked. "Yes." Justin's pulse thundered. The child grinned brightly beside them. "I knew it." Justin ignored him completely. His eyes stayed locked on Leo. "You're telling me you can stay if someone loves you enough?" Leo looked almost afraid now. "Justin, answer me." "Yes." The word echoed softly through the library. Justin stepped toward him immediately. Leo looked overwhelmed. "You don't understand what you're offering." "I do." "No, you don't." Leo's voice shook for the first time. "Dream sweepers bind themselves emotionally to the people who keep them alive. It's permanent." Justin stared at him. "And?" Leo blinked. "And permanent." Justin stepped even closer. "So am I." Leo looked completely undone by that answer. The child made a dramatic gagging sound behind them. Neither man acknowledged it. Justin reached carefully for Leo's fading hand. This time, Leo let him. Their fingers intertwined naturally now. Easily. Like they already belonged there. Justin looked directly into his eyes. I spent my entire life believing love was conditional, he said quietly. That people only stayed as long as I was useful. Leo's breath caught softly. But you walked into the worst parts of me and stayed anyway. The library lights brightened warmly around them. You saw everything ugly, Justin whispered. And you loved me there too. Leo's eyes shimmered gold in the dreamlight. Justin squeezed his hand tighter. So if staying requires love? His voice softened painfully. Then stay. The entire library went silent. Every light, every whispering page, every drifting star. Waiting. Leo looked at Justin like his existence itself hurt. Then slowly, very slowly, his fading stopped. Justin inhaled sharply. The transparency vanished inch by inch. Warmth flooded back into Leo's hands. The library exhaled softly around them. The child cheered loudly. Leo stared at himself in shock. Then back at Justin. You idiot, he whispered shakily. Justin frowned slightly. That's a rude response to a confession. Leo laughed helplessly. Then suddenly grabbed Justin by the front of his coat and kissed him again. Harder this time. Needier. Real. Justin kissed him back immediately. One hand sliding against Leo's waist as the library erupted into golden light around them. The child groaned dramatically. You're both disgusting. Neither of them cared. When they finally pulled apart, Leo rested his forehead against Justin's. You really love me, he whispered softly. Justin looked completely helpless for the first time in years. Unfortunately, Leo smiled so beautifully it physically hurt to look at him. And for the first time since Justin entered the library, the dream no longer felt lonely at all. Part 8, Learning How to Stay. Justin woke slowly to the sound of rain. For one disoriented second, he expected to find himself alone again. Cold penthouse. Empty silence. Another morning pretending exhaustion wasn't eating him alive. Instead, warmth pressed against his side. Justin blinked. Leo slept beside him on the velvet couch, dark hair falling messily across his forehead. One arm remained loosely wrapped around Justin's waist like he'd fallen asleep there without thinking. The sight hit Justin strangely hard. Soft. Domestic. Real. Leo existed outside dreams now. Because Justin loved him enough to keep him here. The realization should have terrified him. Instead, it felt like finally breathing after years underwater. Justin carefully studied Leo's sleeping face. Without the teasing smile, he looked younger somehow. Gentler. There were faint shadows beneath his eyes too, as though existing in reality itself exhausted him. Justin reached out before he could overthink it. His fingertips brushed softly through Leo's hair. Leo immediately smiled without opening his eyes. That's creepy behavior for a CEO. Justin froze. You were awake? Leo shifted closer lazily, burying his face briefly against Justin's shoulder. Justin's heartbeat instantly lost all functionality. Leo looked up sleepily. You're staring again. You're dramatic, even unconscious. And you're affectionate before coffee. Fascinating development. Justin rolled his eyes, though warmth spread through his chest. Leo sat up slowly, stretching. His oversized shirt slipped slightly, revealing warm skin and silver marks along his collarbone. Justin immediately looked away. Leo caught him instantly. Oh, he said with delight. You're still getting flustered. I am not. You absolutely are. Justin stood abruptly. I need coffee. Leo laughed softly behind him. The sound followed Justin all the way into the kitchen. And strangely, the apartment no longer felt temporary. Felt lived in. Like someone's warmth had settled permanently into the walls. Justin made coffee while Leo wandered barefoot through the apartment humming softly to himself. The domestic normalcy of it should have been bizarre. Instead, it frightened Justin how much he wanted it. How quickly he'd grown used to Leo's presence. Leo leaned against the kitchen counter watching him carefully. You're thinking too hard again. Justin handed him a mug. I have responsibilities. You're making coffee, not negotiating world peace. Justin snorted quietly. Leo smiled faintly into his cup. Then his expression softened. What's wrong? Justin hesitated. The truth felt strangely vulnerable. I don't know how to do this, he admitted quietly. Leo blinked once. This? Justin gestured vaguely between them. All of it. Love. Closeness. Keeping someone. Leo set his mug down slowly, then walked closer. Close enough that Justin could feel his warmth again. You know the funny thing? Leo said softly. Justin looked at him carefully. You think love is some impossible complicated architecture. Leo touched his chest lightly. But most of the time it's just choosing to stay. Justin's throat tightened. I'm not good at staying. I know. The honesty of it hurt slightly, but Leo smiled afterward. So we learn. Something painfully tender settled inside Justin's chest. No one had ever spoken about loving him like it was patient, like it could grow slowly instead of being earned perfectly. Leo reached up and adjusted Justin's crooked tie gently. You're going to work today? Justin sighed softly. Unfortunately. Leo grinned. You hate it more now. Justin frowned slightly. That's not true. It is. Leo's fingers lingered briefly against his collar. You finally found something that matters more. Justin stared at him quietly. Then, before he could stop himself, he leaned down and kissed Leo softly. Quick. Instinctive. Leo blinked in surprise. Justin looked equally surprised afterward. Neither of them moved. Then Leo smiled slowly. Well, he murmured. That's going to become a problem. Justin raised an eyebrow. How? You're extremely kissable. Justin actually laughed. Openly. Warmly. Leo looked momentarily stunned by the sound. You're beautiful when you laugh, he whispered without thinking. Justin's smile faded into something quieter. Something vulnerable. No one had ever looked at him the way Leo did. Like he was worth tenderness. By evening, Justin realized Leo had been right. Work felt different now. Not meaningless. Just smaller. Meetings ended, emails got answered, decisions were made. But for the first time in his life, Justin no longer felt consumed by it all. Because now there was someone waiting for him afterward. Someone who knew the softest parts of him and stayed anyway. The realization settled deep into his bones all day long. By the time Justin returned home that night, the penthouse lights were already on. Warm music drifted softly from the kitchen. Justin stopped in the doorway. Leo stood barefoot by the stove, wearing one of Justin's expensive black button-down shirts several sizes too large on him. Cooking terribly, apparently. Smoke filled half the kitchen. Justin stared silently. Leo looked over brightly. Oh good, you're home. He pointed dramatically at a burning pan. Your kitchen is trying to kill me. Justin loosened his tie slowly. You're banned from cooking. That feels emotionally aggressive. Justin crossed the room, then stopped directly in front of him. Leo looked up curiously. Justin touched his waist gently. Still real. Still here. Leo's expression softened instantly. You checked. Justin looked away slightly. I had a long day. Understanding flickered across Leo's face immediately. Without teasing, he reached up and held Justin's face carefully. I'm not gone. Justin closed his eyes briefly at the touch. I know, but fear still lingered quietly inside him. Fear that happiness this gentle couldn't possibly last. Leo seemed to sense it. He always did. You know? Leo murmured softly. Dreams aren't fragile things. Justin opened his eyes again. They aren't. Leo smiled faintly. No, his thumb brushed gently across Justin's cheek. People are. The honesty in his voice made Justin ache. Leo rested his forehead lightly against his. But people survive impossible things every day, he whispered. Justin's hands slowly tightened against Leo's waist. Do you regret staying? Leo looked genuinely shocked, then almost offended. Justin Vale, he said dramatically. I crossed dimensions for you. Justin huffed out another quiet laugh. Leo's expression softened again afterward. No. he whispered honestly. I could never regret you. Justin kissed him again before he could think too hard about the overwhelming emotion swelling inside his chest. This kiss felt slower, deeper, like learning each other carefully. Leo melted against him immediately, fingers tangling gently into Justin's hair. Warmth flooded through the penthouse. And for once, Justin didn't feel haunted by emptiness anymore. Until suddenly, the lights flickered. Both men froze. A cold wind swept through the apartment. Leo's expression changed instantly. Not fear. Recognition. The shadows near the hallway twisted softly. Then a voice echoed quietly through the room. You weren't supposed to survive. Justin turned sharply. A figure stood in the darkness. Tall, silver-eyed, wearing the same strange dream markings Leo carried beneath his skin. But unlike Leo, this man's presence felt cold enough to freeze the entire room. Leo's face slowly lost color. Orion. Part 9. The Ones Left Behind. The apartment fell deathly silent. Rain hammered softly against the windows while the stranger stood motionless in the shadows. Tall, elegant, terrifying. Silver markings glowed faintly beneath his pale skin like cracks in moonlight. His long black coat moved unnaturally despite the still air, and his silver eyes remained fixed entirely on Leo. Justin immediately stepped closer to him instinctively. Protective. Leo noticed. Something painful flickered across his face. The stranger tilted his head slightly. So this is the human, he said softly. His voice sounded wrong. Too smooth. Too empty. Like an echo pretending to be a person. Justin's expression hardened instantly. And you are? The stranger looked at him calmly. Orion. Leo's jaw tightened. Justin glanced between them carefully. You know him? Leo answered quietly. Yes. Orion smiled faintly. He remembers faster than most. The air around him felt cold enough to suffocate. Justin hated him immediately. Orion finally stepped fully into the light. The apartment dimmed around him. Dream energy. Justin recognized it now. But unlike Leo's warmth, Orion felt hollow, sharp, like loneliness weaponized into something alive. Leo slowly moved in front of Justin protectively. What are you doing here? Orion's silver gaze remained calm. Cleaning up your mistake. Justin frowned. Mistake. Orion looked directly at him. Dream sweepers are not meant to stay in reality. His voice softened mockingly. Especially not for love. Justin's chest tightened. Leo's hand found his wrist briefly behind him. A silent warning. Justin ignored it completely. He stays, Justin said flatly. Orion actually laughed. The sound carried no warmth whatsoever. You think humans get a choice? Justin stepped forward. Yes. Leo immediately grabbed his arm. Justin. But Justin's eyes never left Orion. Something cold settled beneath his skin now. Because he recognized this type of cruelty. People who believed emotions were weaknesses. People who treated attachment like disease. He'd spent his entire life becoming one of them. Until Leo. Orion studied Justin quietly, then smiled faintly. Interesting. Justin narrowed his eyes. What? You already love him enough to become dangerous. Leo stiffened beside him. Orion continued softly. That's why they sent me. Justin's stomach dropped. They? For the first time, genuine exhaustion crossed Leo's face. The collective, he murmured quietly. Justin looked at him sharply. What collective? The first dream sweepers. Orion answered instead. The ones who maintain balance between dreams and reality. His silver eyes darkened slightly. Leo broke that balance. Justin frowned. By surviving? By choosing attachment. The apartment lights flickered violently. Leo's expression remained tense. Orion looked at him almost sadly. You know the rules. Leo's voice sharpened instantly. I know the cruelty behind them. Orion's gaze hardened. And yet those rules exist because humans destroy everything they cling to. Justin's chest tightened painfully at that. Because once, he would have agreed. Orion stepped closer slowly. Dream sweepers were never meant to become real. His eyes shifted toward Justin again. Humans always ruin love eventually. Justin spoke before Leo could. You don't know anything about us. Orion looked almost amused. I know humans forget. The words settled heavily in the room. Leo's fingers tightened subtly around Justin's wrist. Justin suddenly understood. This wasn't just about rules. Orion had loved someone once too, and lost them. The realization shifted something inside him. You stayed for someone, Justin said quietly. Orion froze, just briefly, but enough. Leo looked genuinely surprised beside him. Orion's expression slowly emptied again afterward. That was a long time ago. They forgot you, Justin realized softly. Silence. The rain outside intensified. Orion looked away first, and that alone confirmed it. Leo's voice became gentler now. Orion, don't. Orion's tone sharpened instantly. Do not pity me. Justin watched him carefully. For the first time, the coldness around Orion looked less monstrous. More wounded. You think this ends differently? Orion asked quietly. You think humans can love forever? Justin answered immediately. Yes. Orion looked at him with unbearable sadness. That's because you've only just begun. The room fell silent again. Then suddenly, the shadows around Orion twisted violently. Dream energy exploded across the apartment. Justin staggered backward as the walls dissolved around them. Reality shattered instantly. The library returned, but not the healed version. This one looked ancient. Endless galaxies stretched between shelves now. Entire constellations drifted through the ceiling. Dreams whispered from every direction. At the center of it all stood a massive silver door. Orion faced it silently. The collective has decided, he said quietly. Leo must return. Justin's pulse spiked. No. Leo stepped beside him immediately. Justin. No. The word echoed sharply through the dream. Justin looked directly at Orion. You don't get to decide that. Orion's silver gaze remained calm. If Leo stays bound to reality permanently, he will eventually become human. Justin blinked. What? Leo looked away slightly. Orion continued. He'll age, feel pain, become mortal. His expression darkened. And eventually die. Silence crashed violently through Justin's chest. Leo never told him that. Justin turned sharply. You knew. Leo's voice came quietly. Yes. And you still stayed? Leo looked at him like the answer was obvious. Of course I did. Justin's throat tightened painfully. Orion watched them silently. You would throw away immortality for a human lifespan? Leo smiled faintly. What's immortality worth if you spend it alone? The words echoed softly through the endless library. Orion looked shaken for the first time. Justin stared at Leo helplessly. No one had ever chosen him like this. Not completely. Not knowing the cost. Justin crossed the distance between them immediately, then grabbed Leo's face and kissed him hard. Desperate. Certain. The library lights exploded gold around them. Dreams swirled wildly through the endless shelves. When they pulled apart, Justin rested his forehead against Leo's. You stupid, impossible man, he whispered shakily. Leo laughed softly against his lips. Still staying? Justin looked directly into his eyes. Forever. Something inside the library shifted. Warmth surged through every shelf, every memory, every hidden wound. The silver door behind Orion cracked loudly. Golden light spilled through the fractures. Orion stared at it in shock. The library, he whispered. Justin slowly realized the truth. The dream wasn't reacting to fear anymore. It was reacting to love. The cracks spread rapidly across the silver door. Then suddenly, it shattered completely. Light flooded the endless library. Warm, gentle, alive. And within that light appeared thousands of dreams intertwined together. Not nightmares. Connections. People choosing each other. Again and again. Orion stared silently at the vision. His silver eyes slowly widened. like he'd forgotten something important long ago. Leo stepped closer to him carefully. "You were wrong," he said softly. Orion looked at him, and for the first time, the coldness around him cracked. Just slightly. Pain showed beneath it. Loneliness, ancient and devastating. Justin understood then. Orion wasn't protecting balance. He was protecting himself from hope. The light around them softened further, and suddenly a distant voice echoed gently through the library. "New law accepted." The entire dream trembled softly. Leo blinked in shock. Orion slowly closed his eyes. "They changed it." Justin frowned slightly. "What changed?" Orion opened his eyes again. Dreamlight reflected silver and gold within them now. "Dream sweepers," he whispered quietly, "may remain where they are truly loved." Silence. Then Leo laughed. Bright, real, overwhelmed. Justin had never heard anything more beautiful. Leo turned immediately and wrapped both arms around him tightly. Justin held him just as fiercely. Warmth flooded the endless library, and somewhere far above them, the stars rearranged themselves into something entirely new. Months later, Justin still dreamed of the library sometimes, but now it looked different. Warm reading lights glowed between endless shelves. Soft music drifted through impossible hallways. The east wing became a garden, and occasionally, Justin would find Leo asleep in one of the massive library chairs with books scattered across his lap. Real, alive, still unbearably dramatic. Justin loved him hopelessly. One evening, while rain tapped softly against the penthouse windows, Leo looked up from his book and smiled lazily. "You're staring again." Justin loosened his tie slowly. "You exist. I'm still adjusting." Leo laughed warmly, then held out one hand. Justin took it immediately, like second nature now, like coming home, and somewhere deep within the endless architecture of dreams, the library finally rested. If you like the story, don't forget to subscribe and like for more wonderful BL stories.